Hello, welcome back to the L1 show, Links with Friends. Today is December 20th, and it is 5 sleeps till Christmas.
How do you know I don't take naps?
Oh, that's a good point. But is that really a sleep? It's not like a big sleep. It's a baby sleep.
Oh, you didn't say big sleep. You just said sleep.
5 big sleeps till Christmas.
What if you're one of those people that does, was it what Benjamin Franklin with like the...
Oh, they had the weird sleep schedule.
Yeah.
That just sounds like dysfunction to me. But, you know, when I do that, people are like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you get up at a normal time? And
Maybe you should try to invent some stuff, you know?
yeah.
Maybe you should create the greatest governmental system that's ever been created.
Oh, you know, I keep trying and it just doesn't work. Actually, I'm not trying at all.
Well, this is the big story, and I would like to say that this is finally the end of it, but it's not. It will take years for this to play out, but this is a pivotal moment.
Google's App Store ruled as a legal monopoly as a jury sides with Epic Games.
Every count went to Epic. Total loss for Google.
There's some lawyers having a bad Christmas right now.
And as we've seen, Spotify wins in the EU against Apple. So the days of controlling the app stores probably coming to an end.
I don't know, though. It seems like every time we get a ruling like this...
Oh, yeah. The appeals will take years, they admitted. Right. But maybe eventually. Maybe, well, neither of us have children, but...
Maybe our children's children will live in a world without the App Store when they've got, you know, the Neuralink implanted.
How are our children going to have children if they don't exist? Probably CRISPR, right?
Yeah.
They'll steal our DNA and our clones can enjoy this.
Oh.
And Google has killed again. They've killed another service. And in one case, they did it in such a way that made it literally impossible for someone to retrieve their data.
Google promises unlimited cloud storage, then cancels plan, then tells journalists his life's work will be deleted without enough time to transfer the data. I think they gave him a week, right? 7 days.
A week to transfer, I think it was 275 terabytes.
Terabytes, yeah.
Which, depending on your internet connection, probably not very realistic. Plus, he probably doesn't have 250 terabytes of storage in his home, which, you know, everybody should, but...
I thought well, I understand maybe not having that much storage, but like, I'm surprised he doesn't have backups at all other than Google. But then it did point out that the FBI had taken a lot of his other backups. So
right. So he was something of a whistleblower. Got raided by the FBI. They took all of his equipment. So he has nothing, but he still had the Google Drive. And it's like, I still have the videos. I can prove my innocence. Not anymore. So he's literally going to go into a case, a federal case, with no ability to...
It's read-only.
It's gone. It'll be dead. In 1 week, they're going to delete it. And the car companies, you know, they do some really annoying things. But if you recall, remember the BMW guy? He was like, oh, people love subscriptions. Yeah. Oh,
what universe is he living in? The rich people universe?
The universe of lies, which is also where GM resides.
GM says it's ditching Apple CarPlay and Android Auto for your safety. I mean, I hate Android Auto, but I don't think they're doing it for my safety.
So he claims that because Google and Apple are tracking everything that you do, it's good for you. Plus, Android doesn't work very well, he claims. But GM is also tracking everything you do.
Yeah.
They just prefer to have the data and not have anybody, because it's more valuable if they're the only one that has it. So they are no longer going to put any kind of Apple or Google app in any of some of their vehicles. I don't know if it's all of them. And they're going to go with their own thing. I can't remember what it was called. Do you?
No. But it's not surprising that they would do this. It's just like streaming where like at first everyone put all their shows on Netflix and then they all started pulling them back because they wanted to do their own thing.
So there's an update here. GM responded, but they basically was like, no, we still love Apple and Google, but we're still doing our own embedded infotainment. So they didn't really revise the statement.
No.
They just tried to blunt the backlash. And here's a right to repair story. Get ready for this. Not in America. This is actually Poland. And this is one of the most disgusting things that you will ever read.
Polish hackers repaired trains the manufacturer artificially bricked. Now the train company is threatening them.
So these trains had GPS trackers. Now these guys claim to have the source code to prove this. And it seems like they got some pretty good evidence. I mean, I believe them. And they showed that what happens is, because trains, like there's only so many places a train can go. So they put a GPS marker on there. If the train went to a third-party repair track, they disabled it.
Wow.
And you had to go to the official shop to get that turned back on. Now, these guys figured out how to undo that. So they got the trains running again. And now the train company's like, no, you're not allowed to do that. You must allow the trains to break themselves. Now, they deny the whole thing, but I think they are lying.
Based on everything we cover week to week, I would also bet good money that they're lying.
I don't know what the local Polish currency is called, but I bet a lot of it.
Pierogies.
I don't think that they deal in pierogies as their means of exchange.
They pull it out of their pocket. It's all mushy. Thank you for the coffee, sir.
And Broadcom and VMware, they merged. And remember, because this was a merger, we were told it's good for the industry, it's good for the employees, and it's good for the consumer. Now, we've seen that they've fired the employees, they've changed the industry practices and licensing, and now, how about those users?
Broadcom is killing off VMware perpetual licenses and strong-arming users onto subscriptions.
Yeah. So if you have a forever license, they will have to honor that. But
for now,
what happened was you got the license for the software and then you paid monthly for the support. You will no longer be able to pay for the support if you have the forever license. The only way you get support is to go on the monthly subscription. Now, they will let you trade that forever license in, give you a little store credit.
Oh, that was sweet of them.
Such nice guys. And the big Xbox Game Pass story was they wanted it on Nintendo and Sony, and they walked that back, and they said, no, that's not what we want. But they are looking at new ways to make Xbox Game Pass more dystopian and evil.
Xbox Game Pass for free. Microsoft is experimenting with ad views for access to hundreds of Xbox games.
So they describe this will be in poorer economies like Africa, but they describe, hey,
yeah, they're gonna pilot it there.
Oh yeah, obviously. But they say maybe you can watch a 15-second ad. Maybe you get 30 minutes of Game Pass time. Don't you love that? I'm sure that a new ad will pop up while you're playing, so you can get more time.
That's like that story we did with Ubisoft. Remember where they the pause would show an ad?
I was so close to canceling Xbox Game Pass because I was like, they're not bringing the games that interest me. And then this month they put Against the Storm on there, and I was like, oh my God, you saved me $30. Maybe it was 20. Now I got to stay another month until I finish with this game.
Would you watch ads though if it was interrupted by ads, or would you stick with it?
Nah, I probably wouldn't watch ads. I'll go a long way not to watch ads.
Same.
Some people will go a long way to get the correctly colored text message bubble, and Apple does not care for that.
Beeper says Apple is blocking some iMessages, but there's a fix.
So Beeper figured out how to, use Apple hardware to get around all this stuff, but Apple is actively trying to destroy this.
What you get really, you're young, you just got your new fancy job at Apple, and you're excited. You go in for your first day, and you're like, I wonder what I'm gonna work on today. And you're like, you're the one to fix the speech color bubble.
Oh, not fix it. We need to find a way for you to destroy this other company's business model.
Yeah.
That's your job this week.
What?
Here's your ticket. Destroy Beeper.
That's all it says. There's no other explanation.
Oh, here's a missort.
Oops.
Xbox is also looking to get on a new app store, and they've chosen one that has not very many users.
Xbox Cloud Gaming is now available on Meta Quest VR headsets.
I guess that's good if you got a VR headset. It is quite the value still. Netflix has decided to finally tell us what's going on in terms of who's watching what on its platform.
Netflix takes big data transparency step, releasing viewing numbers for 18,000 titles. I wonder why they did this.
To remind you to get Netflix for the holidays?
I guess, yeah.
Look how good these shows are. I've seen the Night Agent. I think that's the one where he's just in a government office with a phone and it's supposed to never ring and then it does and he has an adventure.
Oh, I've never seen that.
I thought that was all right. I
I
don't
saw
recognize
Wednesday.
most of
Wednesday was still really popular, even though it came out last year.
Have you seen that one?
No, I just saw it all over the internet for a while.
I'm so tuned out of modern television or streaming.
Every now and then a good show comes along, but it's pretty rare.
And the world is tuned out from this.
Oh.
It is over. Pour one out.
E3 is officially over forever. RIP. I feel like the equivalent of this now is like the Game Awards.
I hate it all. But see, why would you watch the Game Awards if you're so opposed to advertising?
It is mostly advertising.
It's nothing but advertising.
But it's fun to make fun of with your friends.
Wow.
It's kind of like it's like having an Oscar party. You don't really care about the Oscars, but it's fun to make fun of with your friends. I will say I wish the fashion showing was stronger at the Game Awards, but apparently no one cares about that.
Fashion?
Yeah.
You mean like the red carpet?
There's no like red carpet or anything.
Oh.
No one's serving looks.
Probably not a lot of crossover there.
No, but I wish there was.
Well, you can get that started.
That should be a thing, though. I mean, there were some people who were dressed really well, but most of it's like it's mostly like programmer types. So they're just wearing like a suit jacket. Menswear is not exciting for red carpet.
Krista, the fashion gamer.
No, but I'm not very fashionable though. I just like to hear other people's opinions.
But see, gaming fashion is not yet defined. So you could say that gaming fashion is whatever you want it to be. You could set the trend.
The head of Larian Studios, when he went up to accept the award for Baldur's Gate 3, he was wearing armor. And I was like, that's what we should be wearing at red carpet events.
I bet that was really uncomfortable in the time waiting to go up there.
I bet it was, yeah. Well, he only committed to the top half. He had like regular pants on.
That's going to offer no protection.
I know. What if he got attacked on stage?
Yeah. Just slowing himself down.
Heavy armor.
Well,
penalized.
Apple has decided to roll out a new feature to the VR users to give them a reason to buy that phone over the other ones.
Apple releases spatial video recording on iPhone 15 Pro. Okay.
Can make some great cat videos with that, I'm sure.
I feel like cameras in just about every phone are pretty good now.
Yeah. Well, but this has the special features for the VR. So yeah, I feel the same way about it.
It's like most people aren't going to use that feature, so.
Someday I might buy a VR helmet, but for now, it's not realistic. And Google has killed once again.
The Google Play movies and TV apps go away for good in January, already dead on Android TV. RIP.
Don't put your trust in any big tech company television solution. And don't put your trust in the old school cable because they haven't died, but they've basically admitted defeat.
Zombie TV has come for cable.
So they point out that most of these networks don't have any new programming. Like when they did their lineup for this year, it's just all reruns. Because it's only old people watching. They're going to leave it on no matter what. We're going to show them big pharma ads because that's what they need. And we're going to put
like life insurance and
yeah. Walk-in tubs.
Yeah.
So they're putting all their energy into streaming because that's where the young people are, and they're just letting TV slowly die with the people who still watch it.
It's old people or people who like sports.
Yeah, sports is still.
But it's starting to move over to streaming. At least some of it is.
I'm sure that'll be completely streaming in a couple of years, I would say. And in those years, perhaps we'll have a new way to access the internet because all of this traffic and the fact that our infrastructure is terrible is leading to buffer bloat. What can we do about it?
The quiet plan to make the internet feel faster.
L4S, which is aiming to make lower latency by dealing with buffer bloat. And you can read here what their plan is to do that. I guess that would be good.
That'd be nice.
For the most part, it's not that big a deal. You don't need instant. But then if you've ever done a Teams call or Zoom call, it's really bad still.
I was in Teams hell at one point this week because one guy, his internet connection wasn't very good. So like it was kind of going in and out. And then someone else didn't have headphones. So there was like a delay. And so you could hear yourself talking and it was very distracting.
Well, this won't fix that.
No, I was like, I just need someone playing rap music through a speaker in the background. And this will just be the unholy trinity of bad Teams call.
You know what this will do? It'll cut that latency time down so much that you'll get the situation where you start to hear your voice right after you start talking, and it like, you know how it destroys your brain.
Yeah, that's what was happening on that call.
But it'll be quicker, and it'll be harder to deal with.
It was terrible.
So I guess that's a good thing. I can't imagine how long it will take to replace everything. That sounds like a big boondoggle government money project. And the economy continues to be terrible. Of course, the mainstream media will tell you that it's not. They'll tell you that everything's great. It's your fault. But if you're running a business...
Etsy lays off 225 workers after essentially flat sales, says CEO. You know what they need to do on Etsy is get rid of all the Chinese manufactured, like mass manufactured crap. Because Etsy used to be great if you were looking for something that was handmade. And now it's impossible to find anything like that because there's so many like crap listings.
You know where another great place where they could do that would be Amazon.com and
literally every store.
Walmart.com. Yeah, that's basically because we don't manufacture anything here.
But the Etsy's whole thing was always like, at least when it started, was stuff that was handmade. And you can still find stuff that's handmade on there, but it's hard to find because all these little tiny junk shops pay for ads to go to the top of the search for listings.
So the advertising model, as usual,
has ruined the product.
And when a major corporation acquires your product, that's another good sign that it's on its way to being ruined. Now, this is Dungeons & Dragons. Remember that Dungeons & Dragons is the license that was used for Baldur's Gate 3, the most popular video game of the year that sold so many copies. And yet...
Hasbro's 1,000 layoffs have hit D&D and Magic, The Gathering hard, as growing list of staff announced their departures. Right before Christmas, too. Tough.
They'll probably get a little bit of severance, so it won't kick in till later. But, yeah.
The only reason I heard about this was actually because of Baldur's Gate 3. One of the devs made like a big thing after they won Game of the Year to say like, it was very subtle, but it was very pointed about like, thanks for letting us use your license. Also, it sucks that you got rid of everybody we first talked to when we started working on this game.
It's not good that Dungeons & Dragons is in the hands of those people.
No.
They've already done. So remember when they tried to do the other thing and change the way all that licensing worked for the...
Oh, I know the story because we covered it earlier this year, but I can't remember what exactly the details were.
They wanted to retroactively change. Like it used to be, hey, you can use this in your own work and it's okay. And they were like, no, that's not true anymore. But they had to walk it back. Now we can all be hyped for the great cultural event that will be Grand Theft Auto 6. But some of us, and I'm included here, will not get to enjoy it, at least for some time. How long did it take for 5 years? Was it like 6 months?
It was a while. That was one of the first games we streamed when we started streaming on Twitch.
But it was already quite old at that point because console first.
Rockstar don't have the resources for PC port at launch, says former developer. I think this is a rumor right now, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I think they have a lot of money.
Yeah, they have a ton of money.
They have
one of the most successful games of all time.
Just can't find the budget. And Hideo Kojima is a very celebrated game designer. He made Death Stranding. Now, do you remember when Death Stranding was first announced and they had that trailer? And it was just like the craziest trailer you've ever seen in your life. And then they released the game and it was like, well, that's just a walking simulator.
Yeah, I haven't played it. So yeah. maybe it's really good, but I didn't hear a lot of people talking like they loved it at the time.
When I remember seeing that story, I was like, I want to see this story. I want to know where this goes. It's just madness. I guess the game eventually unlocks all that, but maybe now you don't have to slog through all that to learn the story.
A24 to adapt Hideo Kojima's acclaimed PS4 game Death Stranding into live-action feature film. Now, I like a lot of A24 movies, so this is kind of exciting for me. I would like to see it.
What are some examples of their movies?
The Witch.
Oh, I watched that.
Yeah, I like that.
Black Phillip.
Yeah. Dost thou wish to live deliciously? I like that movie a lot. Oh, I can think of the other one with Florence Pugh. Midsommar. And then my husband and I recently watched Hereditary, which I didn't care for. Oh, Green Knight. I liked the Green Knight a lot as well.
I've not seen any of those except for Black Phillip. Anyway, maybe that'll be good. He's not going to direct, but he is going to be on board for some
Creative
stuff.
consulting.
Yeah. Moving on to hardware, maybe some bad news for you Threadripper enthusiasts, although they're kind of tiptoeing around this. Maybe it's okay, but in the worst cases, maybe it's not okay.
AMD says overclocking blows a hidden fuse on Ryzen Threadripper 7000 to show if you're overclocked the chip, but it doesn't automatically void your CPU's warranty.
But there is overclocking related damage that could void your warranty, and if that's triggered, they'll know. So it's kind of like the Apple watermark thing. Mm-hmm. Be careful.
Oh, Mac rumors with their tiny headlines.
Can you see it?
Kinda. We'll start.
Well, it's funny that, you mentioned a tiny headline because this is about something very, very tiny and things that just keep getting tinier.
Apple Chipmaker discusses highly advanced 1.4 millimeter chips for first time.
1.4 millimeter would be a move solidly in the other direction. These are nanometers.
Right.
Very small.
Just like the headline that I'm struggling to read.
TSMC has claimed that they have 2 nanometer and that they are working on 1.4.
1.4 inches.
Little
just
guy.
massive.
That's something to look forward to. They expect that to be the new M chip whenever they get that ready. And Intel is looking to get into the mix. We learned last week that AMD has released their new hot AI chip.
Intel unveils new AI chip to compete with Nvidia and AMD.
Gaudi3?
Gaudi?
Gaudi?
The hardware naming conventions are always bizarre to me.
Well, you got so many iterations.
Yeah.
It's like naming kittens when you
just give up after a while.
So that was not the only thing they talked about. They announced all of their upcoming chips. They had some Xeon stuff. But this is the big one because hopefully, if you're an Intel investor or worker, you can compete with the big boys in terms of the AI workload.
This image is very like accidental renaissance to me. Why is he holding his hand like that?
Poorly timed shot.
Yeah, it's always important, but something about his hand struck me there.
Now that's 1.4 nanometers. China, due to the sanctions, has kind of been pushed back into the Stone Age. They don't have anything like that, but they are progressing as if it were 20 years ago, even though we don't want them to.
Evidence mounts that China has sanctions-defying 5 nanometer tech. Huawei reportedly preps new AI processor built with Chinese fabs N+2 node.
Where are they getting the lithography equipment? That's the big question. We don't know.
And you know that there is someone out there looking for that, and that is their only job. Up there with destroy this beeper company.
There's a lot of someones. Yeah. And if you hate fan noise, if you want complete silence when you enjoy your home theater PC, then Zotac has the solution for you.
First AirJet-equipped mini PC tested, Zotac's new Z-Box has an incredibly thin chassis with N300 CPU.
I'm hyped for this. Fans going out are one of the many reasons that you have to deal with your computer. If we take that away, that'd be great. I don't know what the failure rate is on these guys.
Does this section, this section will have the section thing about Valve. Oh, it's not. It's an incorrect sort. The Steam Deck.
That doesn't really. They use traditional fans, I think.
Well, but it was funny. It was a funny story.
Huawei is actually so successful. Now, they did plan this previously, so this is not something they've done recently. The pandemic paused this, but they're supposed to be beaten down and kept in China, but no, that's not how it's playing out.
Sorry. Huawei to start building first European factory in France next year. Source.
I thought France was in the coalition of no China development, but apparently they didn't get the memo.
I think, at least it's been a while since I've clued into world news, but it seems like for a little bit, France was kind of playing both sides briefly.
Kind of the smart thing to do, right? I mean, if I were a leader, I wouldn't buy into the whole good guy, bad guy thing.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. And was this Ford F-150 driver a good guy, or was this all a plant? And was this staged? That is the question. Now, the Ford CEO insists it was all on the up and up, just a fun thing that happened that they happened to have cameras on at the time.
Ford CEO says he definitely didn't pay for that viral video of a stuck Cybertruck needing a rescue on a snowy hill.
So this was one of the Cybertruck, what do they call it, like beast mode or something, like the $100,000 package. Actually, it might be more than $100,000, but it's supposed to be super off-road and powered up, but it got stuck getting some Christmas trees.
It looks like such crap. I don't have strong feelings about vehicle aesthetics. I like, as long as it works, that's all I care about, and it just looks so ugly.
All of their cars are ugly. But the F-150 Lightning apparently just casually went around it and towed it out of its predicament, flexing the entire time. And
That made Elon Musk furious. Like, more than anything else that's been happening to him in the last few weeks, that made him mad.
I'm sure he dislikes that. But I also kind of suspect it was a PR stunt.
Oh, absolutely. But it is. But that's the thing, is like, a normal person would say that's a PR stunt, and I'm just not going to respond to that. But Elon Musk, he's probably been screaming at people and throwing mugs and.
Now, if it were real, you'd probably feel pretty dumb if you were that Cybertruck driver, right?
Yeah.
You spent all that money on something that's not really performing. But that's not the only reason you should feel stupid if you do business with Tesla.
Tesla again threatens to sue Cybertruck buyers who try to resell their cars.
$50,000. In the fine print of the contract, you are agreeing that you will be penalized up to $50,000 if you sell your Cybertruck within 1 year. Now, if you want to sell it, Tesla says you come back to them, they'll buy it, and they'll dictate the price.
Is that illegal?
No. In fact, every time you buy a car, there's a pro live tip. Almost every car dealership will ask you to sign an arbitration agreement. They might require it. That arbitration agreement guarantees that you can't sue them.
Wow.
No matter what. If that car bursts into flame and burns your house down, you can't sue them. You have to go into arbitration because you signed it and you agreed to it. Terms of service.
But I was thinking something that limits whether or not you can buy or sell something, I would think would be interfering with commerce in some way.
It's just a contract. You signed the contract. They can put whatever they want in the contract.
Well, yeah, you can put whatever but it doesn't mean it can be enforced. Like, if it goes against a wider law, that's what I'm wondering, if there's another law that would counteract that.
Considering the current situation with Elon Musk, I'm sure that there will be.
Yeah, a judge would probably be happy to throw it out. But
the other interesting thing is there's a public terms of service on the website. That's not in it. They cut that out. But when they send you the paperwork, it's in the paperwork.
wow.
Now that might be illegal. And remember the monkeys of Neuralink?
I do remember that.
You know who doesn't remember it? The monkeys, because they're dead.
Ooh.
They died horribly. According to some whistleblowers who worked in the university that was doing the study. Now, Elon Musk has some different things to say about that. But once again, these are public statements about a financial interest that is publicly traded. You have to be careful.
Elon Musk's new monkey death claims fresh demands for an SEC investigation. We got paywalled on this one.
So if you recall, he has now doubled down on this. He says, no, those monkeys were old and sick.
They were sick.
Well, after they drilled their brains.
Yeah, they got infections in their skull.
He's saying before. So he's saying, no, we took some monkeys that were going to die anyway, and we did the science on them, and it was minimal. Now, the doctors have refuted this, saying that would be stupid to do that.
Yeah, because then you don't know if it's a side effect or if
Exactly.
they're just old.
So some animal welfare groups who are, they're tenacious, they've decided to sue him on behalf of the shareholders. They probably bought some stock. And they're saying, no, you lied. Now the SEC's got to get involved.
Ooh.
I don't think the SEC has commented yet, but
they've kind of got their desk stacked high with stuff right now.
But they don't like him. In the past, he has screwed with them a lot. So I got to think that the appetite is large for the SEC to pick that one up. Those poor monkeys.
Yeah.
And Microsoft has recognized one thing, which is as we are going into this world where we're trying to think about how much power we're using for the things that we have, like cryptocurrency or electric vehicles or what have you, the language model artificial intelligence, absolute energy hogs. I mean, it takes so much power. So what are you going to do?
Microsoft thinks the future of AI is powered by nuclear energy.
Now, that's not the terrifying part here. The terrifying part is that nuclear regulation, as you might imagine, is very complex. You have to really understand what you're doing before the government will be like, yes, go screw around with molecules.
What's the worst that could happen?
You know this thing that could literally destroy the planet? Yeah, go for it. Play around with it. So you have to like do a lot of paperwork. You got to really show your understanding. So what is Microsoft going to do? They're going to let AI do that part.
It's crazy to me too, because like if something goes wrong, is there going to be anybody who actually understands it after a while? Or is it just AI all the way down?
We're just going to, it's like the Warhammer. We just pray to the machine gods and hope.
that it just comes through.
And the machine gods will literally talk back because they'll be artificial intelligence. So they've trained a language model on all nuclear regulatory documentation. And now they expect that AI to help them do all the paperwork.
It's a bold strategy.
And this is the one you were alluding to. This is fan related. I'll give it to you. But I did not feel like it should rank high because it is kind of silly.
It's really funny. I was glad you added this because I was going to put it if you didn't. Valve pleads with Steam Deck owners to stop inhaling the exhaust fumes on their Steam Decks.
Apparently people like the sort of electronic
the plasticky,
smell.
yeah. I kind of, when they described it in the article, I smelt it. I knew what they were talking about.
Do you like that though?
I kind of, I don't think I'd put my face to an exhaust for it, but like I get the appeal.
I remember when I lived in an apartment for a while, my AC in the apartment died and they had to install a brand new one. And my apartment smelled like a laser printer for like a week.
See, I wouldn't want that for a week, but like for a little bit, not bad.
It was a little overpowering.
It's kind of like, too, I like the smell of like, you get a book, an old paperback, and you'll open it up and it smells really nice.
That's different. It's a much different smell.
No.
Anyway, they've said that there's probably not an issue with that, but at the same time, why take the risk?
We didn't test for this edge case because we thought you guys were smarter than this, but please don't make us have to test it.
And I'm afraid this one might be a PR plant because when you read into it, it's like, oh, turns out that SpaceX already does this. So it's actually not anything new.
Amazon reveals a secret about its Project Kuiper.
Kuiper, yeah.
Satellites. They're using laser links. I always want to say Cooper. It's not Cooper.
All the information satellites apparently do this. It's not a big deal. It's cool, I guess.
I think Amazon paid for that.
Oh, yeah. And when it comes to YouTube, you should be always on it. You should just always be watching this channel. If you run out of videos to watch, just go back to the beginning and start again. And apparently the teens are on board, except the teens are not here on this channel. They're on
not often
other stupid channels that they're wasting their time with. I don't know what they're about, but at least they're on the right platform.
More than 15% of teens say they're on YouTube or TikTok, quote, almost constantly. You know what I found interesting about this article is they broke down like the racial.
Race.
Yeah, 80% of Black children were on TikTok, but only 57% of white children were.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, I thought that was strange. I wonder why.
And Hispanic was right in the middle. It was 70% of Hispanic teens, 80% of Black teens, and 57% of white teens.
That's bizarre.
Now, they did point out that a lot of the boys were on Twitch.
That makes sense.
So maybe the white teen boys are just, like more into the gaming stuff and not paying attention to YouTube on that level.
Maybe, yeah. That I'm thinking of like my younger cousins, and the only one of them who's really into like video content is on Twitch all the time. I guess the others could be on TikTok.
I mean, look at the alternatives. Streaming and then certainly TV. YouTube is the best choice.
I agree.
There's so much good stuff on YouTube. You can just watch people cook and get arrested and get chased by the cops. Zoom court.
Listen to music on YouTube.
Now, this is an interesting story. This woman, I think she is like the pro censorship. I don't know what you want to call them. The movement. You're not allowed to have that opinion and I must silence you. So if that's true, I hate her for that. But on the other end is Meta. So you can't root for Meta, right? And it certainly seems like Meta, based on this, has a lot of power in higher education.
Joan Donovan speaks out about Meta and her ouster from Harvard.
So she said some things that were not very good about Meta. And she said that they were, delivering a lot of misinformation, and she had some, examples and stuff. And it turns out that a lot of the high up people at Harvard were really good friends with Sandberg and Zuckerberg and some of the top people at Facebook. They might have been taking some money from them. And somewhere along the way, it seems like somebody got a phone call and this woman was terminated. Now, they said it was because she wasn't a professor at Harvard, and they want everybody to be a professor to run these, like little groups. She claims that's something that happens all the time. It has nothing to do with it. And this was retribution.
I bet it's retribution
I
as well.
believe it 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because every university wants to use adjuncts for everything because they cost less.
And this is, there's a lot of this. So if you want to dig into it and figure out exactly what's true and what's not, I think you will agree that Meta is controlling the education system, which is maybe one of the most terrifying thoughts that you can have.
Unrelated to anything, when I saw that article, I was really, really excited. I really liked her curtains and her Zoom background.
Let's take a look.
I was like distracted when I read this article because I was like, oh, that's a pretty room. She's got like these cool birch like graphic curtains, and then she's got the bright red couch. I was like, wow, that's a bold look on. Usually you don't see that kind of stuff on a Zoom call. It's like a blank wall. She's got good interior design sense. Not related to anything.
You know what? You should have her as your first guest on gaming fashion.
I don't know if she has strong fashion opinions, but...
Well, interior design.
Similar, yeah.
And the idea that Meta is showing horrible, dangerous things and somebody needs to do something about that is shared with New Mexico.
New Mexico sues Meta after investigating young users' exposure to dangerous content. Mostly, I don't know if I can say this without just getting demonetized.
CSAM.
Yeah.
So what they did is they set up some fake accounts on Facebook, which is against the terms of service, and posed as 14-year-old girls. And they said they were immediately beset by advertising and unwanted contacts and all sorts of exposure to those types of things. Not surprising. Also, I don't know if Facebook can ever solve that problem. What do you do?
Without, kids don't even have IDs at that age, so it's like you can't even really verify them, even if you wanted to.
That's such a bad idea.
Yeah.
But they don't ever stop trying to do this. And the way that they try to do it is, and I say they, I mean the tech companies and the government and everybody, it's just more censorship. We must decide what is true and what is real as a government. And then you must never see anything that we decide you shouldn't see.
Threads is getting his own fact checkers to combat misinformation. I thought I had a cough coming and then it didn't come, so I just sounded squeaky.
I was me with sneezes a lot. I hate to lose a sneeze.
Oh yeah, you have to stare at a light when that happens.
One of the worst.
It'll come back.
Sometimes I don't get it back. And we've discussed so far Mr. Elon Musk and Twitter, and the world has turned on Elon Musk and by proxy Twitter, and it's working.
Elon Musk's X ad revenue reportedly fell 1.5 billion this year amid boycotts.
Now, we don't know that for sure. They're not sharing the numbers, but some people are looking at some analogs and comparing it to last year, and they're saying that's what they think the shortfall will be.
That's such a mad number to me.
It's a lot.
I can't even conceptualize it.
And more every week, we see the reason why those numbers are the way that they are.
Bell Media, Angus Reid, and other Canadian brands halt ads on X amid extremism concerns.
And
it's a continuation.
When you are the most hated tech company in the world and all crosshairs are on you, you better not screw up your code. or else The Verge is going to write a damning article.
An X outage broke all outgoing links again. Clicking links on X revealed only an error message, not the page you intended to visit. You know what I really hate? They rolled this change out earlier this year, is if you post a Twitter link in something like Discord, it doesn't show you the preview anymore.
Oh, right. Yeah,
I really dislike that.
He didn't want a distraction from the headline. That was just one of his fiat insanity things.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, it's so annoying.
Well, another thing that might be annoying is if you are going over to Twitch to just enjoy some fine gaming content, as the good Lord intended.
Twitch.tv/TeamPGP.
And instead, you're met with disgusting memories.
Twitch updates sexual content guidelines amid topless meta backlash.
Now, did I understand this correctly that...
I was going to ask you, because I've been following this all week, because I've seen it on like the Twitch subreddit. People have been yelling back and forth about it, and I'm like, I don't know what everyone's angry about.
So it's my understanding that now it's okay as long as you tag it. But when you tag it with that, it won't be on any of the discoverable stuff.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And it's not
That's how I understood this article.
It's not just the bobs. It's
it was pelvic region.
Here you go.
Bobs.
Can you read this?
Oh, that's way too small. No.
Deliberately highlights breasts, buttocks, or pelvic region, which is okay now, provided that it's properly labeled. Do they have individual tags for breasts, buttocks, and pelvic region?
I'm sure now they do. But that's how I feel like it's always should have been on Twitch. Like they should have just made a category for it.
I guess. I think they've been reluctant to do that because so much of their user base is children.
Right. Well, and advertisers are probably not like that either.
So this gal, what was her name? Morgue Pie, was banned. And is she back now? I don't know.
I don't know.
She did. Now, was she just like straight up topless in her stream? I didn't understand that.
I kind of got the vibe, maybe not, but like I'm only looking at the photo here because it looks like she could just be wearing like a spaghetti strap top, but her hair's covering it.
But even if if she was topless, but the camera never goes down, that's probably okay. Right?
Yeah, I would think.
I don't get it. I mean, there's so much sexual content on the internet. Why do you need? I guess just the interaction is what you're looking for.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, set them free.
I feel like sometimes I read these kind of things. And I'm like, I'm too old for this. I don't understand what's happening.
There's a 12-year-old out there. This means a lot.
Yeah, and they're really upset. There were a lot of threads on the Twitch subreddit about this week. And I was like, how many people here are probably under the age of 20 ranting about it?
But it is the thing that has always dictated where the internet goes.
Right.
It's this first, then everything else follows. So
anyway, we will see you guys on Friday with the nonsense section.